Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Check It Out here on my YouTube channel. I am joined today by my good friend Xavi. Xavi, welcome to your very first Check It Out. How are you on this fine, what is today, Wednesday? This fine Wednesday.
Yeah. Same as I've been the past week in the house, as I will be for the rest of the month.
Yeah, I know you've been dealing with it, but I'm keeping you busy.
Well, I'm
By
busy,
talking
and
about
that's good.
this.
But yeah, I'm good today. I'm very happy to talk about this match, which I tweeted out. It's probably my match of the year now, just because I loved it so much. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those matches where I'm gonna watch it again because I always like to do this with Hashimoto matches specifically because she does little things that you
yeah,
can miss on first watch, and it's why she's one of the very best in the world, as we talk about all the time, right?
hmm
I saw someone tweet Hashimoto deserves more love, and that's very true. I think
that's
from the
very true.
overall wrestling community, 1000%, even the Joshi community,
I was about
I
to
think
say
Hashimoto
because
deserves more love.
I remembered Hashimoto being hated in the Joshi sphere because she
Mhm.
just won, and fast forward a few years, I understand why she just won.
Yeah, yeah. It just feels like she gets better and better and better.
Yeah.
She's had a match of the year contender now for a couple of years in a row, it feels like. Um, and now that she is, of course, champion, spoiler alert, it's very exciting to see where she goes from here because wrestler of the year is very much on the table for her by the end of it, depending how this run goes. But of course, we are talking today Chihiro Hashimoto versus Meiko Satomura from the top of Joshi Wrestling live on Wrestle Universe. If you haven't seen it, go see it. You don't gotta pay anything extra. You
Not a
just
pay-per-view.
go out of your way to see this show. You will be in for a treat. The show, top to bottom, was a lot of fun. My second
I think
favorite
they
match.
over-delivered.
I do too. I do too because if you've watched Sendai Girls for a long time or long enough, you know kind of what they do with these big cards. Um, Most of the time, their house show cards are actually like more exciting because they're smaller cards, so they aren't
Mhm.
fitting as many people. They're just kind of packing it all into a couple matches. But with this, they want to do multiple matches, multiple wrestlers, so it's a lot of tags and so on the undercard. But the top four really delivered, especially the singles matches. I thought they were out of this world, with the main event, of course, being the best of the best. Um, so let's talk about the story, of course, between Chihiro Hashimoto and Meiko Satomura. Of course, the teacher and the student. This is a very unique teacher and student situation, though, because the teacher can never beat the student. That is the story of Hash and Satomura. And as you and me joked as we watched this match, right? We said, you know, Satomore's found one of the all-time greats. Like
Mhm.
that's her goal when she retires, is to go out there and find the next great. She did. She already
Yeah.
did it. And maybe that's kind of the scary thing, is I think she's gonna find another one.
I
You know?
think that's her. I think she didn't think about her words, and that's what she meant. And she wanted to find another all-time great. Just so we, of course, view Senjo as one of the best organizations in the world. But I think for her, if she can find another all-time great to oppose
Yeah.
Hashimoto, they can really go to the top of Joshi Wrestling, which obviously is her goal.
Yeah. And I think that's interesting because the one thing you could say, as much as I love Dash Sasako, as much as I love really the whole Sendai Girls roster through the years and what they
hmm
bring to the table, no one's ever been on the Hashimoto level,
Mm-mm.
right? And that's what now she's gonna go out and find. And I think that's a fun story for Mako
hmm
post retirement, and going to be a fun story for Hashimoto in the long term as well. But like I said, Hashimoto has beaten Meiko Satomura every single time they faced off one on one, and most of the time it's with this championship on the line.
hmm
Um, it's an incredible story. It's an incredible story that you don't see a lot, I feel like, in wrestling overall, right? For a lot of it is the protege trying to overcome in eventually. And sometimes it doesn't even happen, right? Like
hmm
sometimes the protege just never does. And
hmm
it becomes that wrestler's story for much of their career. Shout out Tam Nakano. Because she'll never beat Mayu Iwatani.
for
Um,
sure.
so it's kind of like that. But when you watch these two, it's the other way around. And when we get to this match, you can feel that Meiko knows that in the way she's wrestling from start to finish. And I think that gives me a greater appreciation for the match itself.
For sure. I think the way they did this match was lovely because despite with that narrative of Hashimoto has beaten Meiko every time, Meiko still Hash still felt like her back was against the wall. And that's you don't see that in like most series where one person has the distinct leverage against the other. But at the end of the day, this is Meiko Satomura. This is the top of Sendai Girls Pro Wrestling, and it's the main event of Yogi. Hasha's back was against the wall, even though if you look at the lore, like we've explained, she's not because she's handily taken care of Meiko every single time. But
Mm-hmm.
in this circumstance, Meiko has done a great job of making her building herself back up to be the final boss. She's won the title,
Yes.
she's beaten basically everybody, and rebuilt herself up nicely to kind of go into this match in a mode of I might be retiring here soon, but I'm probably the best I've ever been right now.
Yeah.
So good luck beating me. And it's just fascinating because, like I said, in any other circumstance, if you look at any other match, you're like, oh, this person's won every time. So what's unique about this?
Right.
And you like from the entrances to the standoff to the ring introductions, it
Yeah.
just felt like it was the biggest match of all time. And for what
It
it's
did.
worth, I thought by the end of this, while people like they looked at the card and they was like, hey, we've seen better Sendai Girls cards, and we have in recent times. This match specifically embodies what this show was titled. This was the top of Joshi wrestling.
Yeah.
This is the style of pro wrestling Meiko Satomura wants to bring back to the forefront. She's not the only one. We've seen Sari in the past talk about how she wants to bring back the older style. And there's
Mm-hmm.
only very few Joshis that can do that style now. And as far as like on the mainstream front, I like to look at Mizunami because she came up in older era. Matsumoto, and then of course Dash can bring that aggression. Ayako Sato, Hanako Nakamori, but the two who are the best at bringing that old classic hard hitting style into modern day is Sari, who I mentioned, and then Chihiro Hashimoto. They're the only two that I think are at the very top of the wrestling world
Yeah.
with that style. And like I said, I think this is everything Meiko wanted. This is the top of Joshi wrestling.
Yeah. I think a further point that you were making there is Meiko hasn't lost. Like since she's come back,
She's
she's been
rolling.
building to this match. She has beaten the following wrestlers in singles matches. So she went to a draw with Takumi, which is still a big deal because Takumi is very well protected, obviously, as the AAAW champion. She beat Sariano, she
Mm-hmm.
beat Chi, she beat Mika Wada, she beat Dash Shisako, she beat Minami, she beat Tomoki Naba, she beat Sari, which is obviously the biggest deal because the last time
Mm-hmm.
Hashimoto and Sari went one on one, that was Sari coming out on top. And I think that's kind of a big story point for Sendai
Mm-hmm.
eventually this year. Obviously, Sari's focused on the IWGP Women's title, but you know her and Hash are going to meet again
For
because
sure.
that's kind of like the big top rivalry in Joshi right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best versus the best. She beats Ayame Sasamura. Her and Nanai go to a 15-minute draw. She beats Unagi. She beat Yuki Rai. And but the point is like she was dominant
For
and
sure.
every step of the way, like you said, she was proving I might be retiring, but I'm at the top of my game. I haven't missed a step. I remember when she first came back for her retirement run, and whatever the first match was that I watched, I think it was just a random show in like Fukuoka for
Yeah.
Sendai Girl, and she was just incredible. Like she
I
was
believe it
just
was
so.
her and Manami versus Team 200 kilograms.
Yes, I believe you are correct. And like she was just fantastic. And from there, she was fantastic. And her match with Dash was great. And she ran through the roster.
Mm-hmm.
The only singles match, by the way, she hasn't had yet with the roster is Yurika Oka. So need that obviously in the last month and a half here. But she ran through the roster. She ran through top outsiders. She didn't lose to Takumi. She didn't lose to the nine. She beat Sari. Like those three
They're all
are
super
the
protective. Like Nanai's on her own
right.
retirement road, and she doesn't lose historically since
Right.
Marigold's launched.
She doesn't lose. Takumi doesn't lose, and Sari certainly doesn't lose. Obviously, she had her month that she lost, but
Yeah.
overall, she doesn't lose. So everything was building to this match. And I think another part of why this match was so exciting, and even if you thought Haas was going to win, it was so great. It wasn't Mako's retirement match, right? Because when we originally saw them face off, you and me were like, well, this could
This is the
be it.
retirement match.
Right. This could be the retirement match at Corkin, packed Corkin. And instead they went and put it on Yogi. Like, while I still think Haas could win, there's no reason she could there's a reason she could be the loser here. And maybe they run it back sometime beforehand, just because you feel like she might want to retire against Hashimoto. I still have no clue what Mako's retirement match is
I
going
think
to
it's
look
just
like.
going to be a tag, probably with Hashimoto
Yeah,
involved.
which is cool
Yeah.
with me. I hope they team up, truthfully, against
And while
Super
this
duo.
wasn't the retirement match, this was the true passing of the torch of
Yes.
Hashimoto. Sendai Girls is yours from here on out. You gotta
Yep.
everything that happens in this company is your responsibility. Even Jinsei, when he
Yeah.
was reading the post-match declaration, he like stopped for a moment, grabbed the mic, and spoke directly to Hashimoto away from the little script he was reading, and basically reaffirmed like, this company is yours. Anything that happens from here on out is solely because of Chihiro Hashimoto.
Yeah, this match was filled with special moments from the beginning, with Kenta Kobashi being there to the end with, like you said, Jinsei Shinzaki kind of sharing his own personal touch on the usual passing of the title and torch ultimately. So let's talk about the match itself. I mean, you're watching two all-timers. That's what you're watching. I like to talk about all-timers. I have no problem calling people all-timers because if they're capable of it, they are it, right? It's kind of like after Shuri's run a few years ago, I was pretty set. Yeah, this is an all-time wrestler. Hashimoto has been doing the same thing for years now. And that is, if you put her in a big match, if you put her in a big situation, she's going to deliver. She's going to shine. She's going to crush it. And I think that is something that can almost be overlooked because she's so naturally great. That is something funny about Hashimoto, is that it's almost too easy for her. So when you see her in the big match, when you see her in the big situation, you almost kind of laugh at how good she is. That's what happens to me when she's doing her house show match style, because she's so great. It's effortless. And you and me always joke about this when we're watching her matches. Oh, she didn't have to hit the Albright in this match. She didn't even hit the Albright in this match.
Nope.
The Albright is her ultimate finisher, and she didn't even have to hit it on Meiko Satomura. And I think that was a beautiful story, which you'll talk about in a little bit. But the action in this match was second to none. You had great grappling, obviously. Meiko was bringing it to her. She was hitting Hash as hard as she's hit anyone. Probably the hardest she's hit anyone since coming back. And as you said while watching it, it's because she knows she can with Hash. Because Hash is going to come right back and club her in the side of the head, which is exactly what she did. What were your thoughts overall, kind of on the action within the match and just the overall, just work that these two put in?
Obviously, I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it's going to end up being my match of the year for now, just because I love the style they work. Like I said, it's a style from a bygone era that is truly going to be missed one day, because as new wrestlers are entering the scene, I don't think there's just going to be many people who are going back in the archives trying to capture the feeling of this style. Maybe Sendai Girls will continue to teach the style going forward, but it feels like an actual competition, an actual fight. It's like pro wrestling at its purest form. Like you said, I love when Meiko was hitting Hosh with like everything she had, mostly because she knew Hosh could take it and Hosh would come back. But it's almost like she's testing her. It's like, if you can't take this, I don't know if I can entrust Sendai Girls with, if I can entrust you with Sendai Girls, I guess would be the right words to say. And man, it was just awesome. These two going back and forth, like, it honestly, it's hard to wrap your brain around that Maiko's retiring because she's still at an elite level in the ring. Like, there's people who are at the top of companies right now who are not like a fourth of a pro wrestler that Meiko Satomura is right now on her retirement run. And It's sad. It's sad that a lot of her years was lost being in a warehouse in the UK. But I'm glad that she came back and had this final run and just was able to go all out and to do it here with Hosh on the, I don't want to say the biggest stage. Obviously, they've had bigger shows, but the biggest stage of the year so far, just awesome. Hosh not needing the Albright, incredible. But she did hit two Buzz Sawyers. She did hit two Buzz Sawyers. She hit one from the top rope and then one regular. So I mean, I guess she did exhaust one of her other finishers on two occasions, but she didn't get the Albright.
Yeah.
But I do like the powerbomb finish, although I love the Albright. I love how she switches guard and to do it when they're coming out of the ropes. I do like the powerbomb finish just because Sendai Girls was started with Meiko and Shinzaki. And if people don't know, Jinsei Shinzaki's finisher is a powerbomb. So she powerbombed Meiko and basically took in the history of Sendai Girls and now knows that she has to lead it going forward. I thought it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
I loved everything about this match. It like I can't even with most matches. I'm like, oh yeah, you can watch it if you want. I think, especially if you're a newer fan of Joshi Pro Wrestling, you have to see this match.
Yeah.
This is just incredible. And it just amazes me, like when I was first getting into Joshi Wrestling, where Hosh had that stigma amongst like fans because, you know, all she did was win. And then, like, I see year by year, she's getting better and better, and she shouldn't be
Mhm.
because she's great already. Uh, I think she should always be champ. This is her sixth Sendai Girls World title and probably many more to come. I love this match, man.
Yeah. I'm thinking, just to this match and obviously what we saw a week ago with
Mm-hmm.
Sari and Shuri and
Mm-hmm.
how it almost feels like those four are the end of a dying breed in
Yes.
wrestling.
Yeah. I called
And
Hosh the last of a dying breed. Yep.
yeah, like and seeing those four have the matches they've had over the past 2 weeks, it reminds you that as long as these four are around, I don't think the breed is dying. I think they can train up others to be
Mm-hmm.
great. And that's kind of what Saria said. Obviously, that's what Mako has said. They're not giving up on their style and what they bring to the table. In many ways, when you name a show the top of Joshi Wrestling, you are trying to show people what it's all about,
Mm-hmm.
what the top of Joshi Wrestling can indeed look like. I think this match, and honestly, the last few, brought this show from a card that on paper was exciting, but not, again, the very top of their shows to legitimately one of my favorite shows of the year
Agreed.
because of how great they were. Because you saw the effort, you saw the pomp and circumstance. I want to give them credit for that too. With the mixture of Wrestle Universe and the camera, the way they've shot it, and the big stage and the big entrance video, the big arena and packed, like
Felt
this
like the biggest thing
felt
ever.
massive, exactly. And when these two made their entrances and got to the ring and wrestled the match they did, when it was over, you felt like you watched the end of a all-time boxing fight. Like this was the pinnacle of the sport type feel from start to finish.
This is the passing
And
of the torch.
it was. And it's crazy to think that because like there's an argument Mako has done that before, but this was the true passing of the torch because
Mm-hmm.
Mako's not going to be here anymore. She'll be there, but she's not going to be wrestling anymore. This is it. We have a month left in her legendary career. And somehow, some way, despite knowing Hashimoto is one of the greats and doesn't lose, it felt every bit of what they were going for. And that is it is an accomplishment to what both of them set out to do in this match. It's an accomplishment to how great they are and how they've set this up through the years naturally, right?
Agreed.
Mako has become a bigger name. No matter how you feel about WWE obviously wasting her few of your years.
Yeah,
She's become a bigger name worldwide because of being part of WWE.
that's true.
She's become a bigger name worldwide for all the right reasons. So when people see this match, a big final, this is going to be the final title match of Mako's career.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to want to go out of their way to see it. And they're going to watch Chihiro Hashimoto and they're going to walk away saying, holy hell, who is this? Because I think that is kind of the biggest takeaway for me from this that I hope others find. Obviously, I know and the greatness of Chihiro Hashimoto. You know the
Mhm.
greatness of Chihiro Hashimoto. But the hope is that people who are interested in Meiko Satomura's retirement run, they too are interested and watch this and go walk away saying, "That's who she passed the torch to. She's special.
Yeah.
She's very special." Meiko, not Meiko. Hashimoto has a ability that is unmatchable. Speed, intensity, power, just an incredible display that no one can match in the world of Joshi. Not a single soul. And that's why she's so special. That's why Meiko has always believed in her. And that's why she is now carrying Sendai Girls into the future and into a future that I think all of us can agree is very exciting with or without Meiko. You know why? Because we know what it looks like without Meiko. In a way, her being away prepared us for what's next.
Mhm.
And she's watched the wrestlers around her grow so much
Mhm.
that you know this promotion is going to thrive. And my last thing here before I just
Mhm.
knock it over to you for final thoughts, thank God Chihiro Hashimoto is world champion again. It's been too
Oh
long.
man, I
You know,
agree.
I was thinking about it. Like she had the obviously her fifth reign was super duper long, but my God, like it's been a long time. We're finally back. Obviously, she's going to win her tag belts and whatever, but her at the top, and there are so many matches that make sense. We know Micah is very much going to be first, but Micah makes sense. Sari makes the biggest sense, I think, for the biggest
Mhm.
match of her entire run. Venny obviously makes a ton of sense because of, how she lost the belt.
Mhm.
Um, the list goes on and on and on. I need the dash match ASAP. Um, you're gonna get the Iwata match. Obviously, I think Eureka Oka should have her first world title match
Yeah.
against Hash.
Manami will
Manami,
get hers.
obviously, like
Mizunami
they're
has a chance to get her again.
how do we like this one? Chi Chi. Any thoughts?
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Yeah.
Have Chi Chi step up into the world title match for her world title match? But that's the excitement. That is the excitement. And honestly, depending what happens in the future, and knowing how much they've wanted the singles match, I'm not sure Hashimoto versus Mayu Iwatani. I'm just putting it out there.
That's what
I'm
I
just
like to
I,
hear.
I'm just putting it out there.
That's
But what are your final thoughts here as we wrap up this latest version of Check It Out? And by the way, everyone, last thing, go watch this match. That is what Check It Out is for. That's why it's called Check It
yeah.
Out. You're supposed to check it out. Final thoughts on one of the best matches of 2025. Very well might be the best.
What more can we say than what we've already said? This was like a genuine passing of the torch in real time. We like to use that phrase a lot in Joshi wrestling or wrestling in general. When somebody leaves a company, they're passing the torch. This is a legit passing of the torch. You have to watch the post match stuff because it's legit. Everything, not just the world title, not just the top spot, but everything from the training to how the company goes, all this now falls onto Chihiro Hashimoto.
Mm-hmm.
Mako basically manned all those positions really, and now it's on to Hosh. I'm thankful that Hosh is world champion again because there's just nothing like a good Chihiro Hashimoto singles match,
It's true.
just nothing like it. And it's amazing to look at this because we often said if Sendai Girls made it on tape, they would be the best company in the world. And lo and behold, the rest of the universe, the best value in the game, they are very much like that. They are at least top five. And just looking at the ending scene with all of them in the ring, it just shows like if you just look at the whole roster in the ring, it's just like they are so well prepared for when Mako hangs it up, like for good here in a month and a half. Because you think about the past year, Oka has gotten her rise. Manami seems like she's always rising, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about when we were watching the show, Manami's gotten so many singles matches on big shows. Even if she doesn't win, they love to give her singles matches on big shows. Um, they are so prepared for their future,
Yeah.
and you can only be excited, especially with this Mako retirement tour. Hopefully, this gets them some more trainees, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
more bodies is always a good thing when you're a smaller company. So,
It's true. It's true. Yeah, just sensational what these two did. Plugs before we get out of here. Um, let people know.
Yep. The at that's on the screen, Xaviism, 3 eyes. Follow me on Twitter, and then 2 eyes on Blue Sky. I'm gonna have a review of this show, and then a couple matches from Stardom Cinderella Final, and a couple matches from Grand Princess, or I think that's the name. Yeah. Yeah. That should be coming up this weekend. The Gone Pro podcast should be back at the end of the month because I am now back up to schedule. And I want to write something soonish. I don't know what it'll be about, but be on the lookout for that.
Maybe this match. Quick plugs here every Friday. 5-Star Joe Show right here on the YouTube channel. This week we're going to be talking Cinderella Finals, Grand Princess, the top of Joshi Wrestling, because we have to sing some praise for Chi-Chi and Aya Sakura. You damn right. And what Risa Sarah and Dash Asako decided to put each other through. Shouts out to both of them. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about Veni versus Yumiko Hoda in a steel cage, and so much more, because Joshi is indeed the top of pro wrestling in 2025. Until next time, everyone, thank you for joining me and Xavi. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.
Chihiro.